Good afternoon. Ethan Allen here, but I'm not on Likeable Science. We're on Where the Road Leads with Ted Ralston, and Ted is actually on the road in Arizona. Ted.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for stepping in the breach here. Hope you guys can hear. We're actually doing an experiment. Hello? Is it working?
Yep.
Okay, I'll try again. We're attempting an experiment here in resilience restructuring after a massive power outage, and that's where the road leads, unfortunately. And today, that's the situation we've got. And so, anyway, Ethan Allen has graciously volunteered to step in while I'm in Arizona on actually heading for a conference on UAVs in Albuquerque Monday. But we've got Derek Esibil and Manning Tate and Brennan on the show with Ethan. And the whole idea of this show is to have people meet each other who maybe haven't had a chance in the past but are working on something very similar or could reinforce each other. And that's what we're going to find today in the discussion that unfolds here. Incredible reinforcement of people thinking about the same thing. So Ethan, the author of the book Water for Life, which is an incredible treatment of the components that we think that we need to think about from a systems perspective on water in the Pacific. Derek and Manning are both heavily involved in the K-12 educational experience brought to the kids to try to get them to see the systems aspects of water conservation at the Ahupua'a level. And then Brendan is our educational architect thinking about how to design the future from the perspective of education, and so we can future-proof and future-ready the kids to take over when we all exit stage left. So that's the and let me just ask Ethan to stir the pot on that end. It's very awkward here on this end. We've got a power outage in Tucson where we are, and as a result, the internet connections aren't working. So we're doing the best we can on a bootleg cell phone network. But Ethan, if you wouldn't mind just getting the folks to introduce themselves and then stir up the conversation, that's what we're all about.
Sure. Glad to do so, Ted. Thanks a lot. So yeah, guys, I guess a couple of you have met a few times. Some of us have not met at all until a few moments ago. So why don't we just start out? And I was intrigued by Ted's description of you as an educational architect.
It's difficult to live up to, I think, right off the bat. I'm actually a 7th grade math teacher. I think that's my Clark Kent job. But my Superman job that he's talking about is I work for the Janus Group, which is a 21st century teacher cooperative. And we go out and we help teachers learn the skills necessary to promote collaboration, communication, entrepreneurship in their classrooms so that these guys can take the ball and just do amazing things with community and culture and science and STEM and all that stuff. So we kind of help create the fertile ground conditions or the petri dish where some of these great programs can grow.
Excellent, excellent.
And I'm Derek Esibil, and I run a program called WIRED, Watershed Investigations, Research, Education, and Design. And we partner 6th through 12th grade students with researchers to get them involved in current tip-of-the-spear research questions that directly involve their ahupua'a and benefit their community.
Excellent, excellent.
I'm Manning Tate. I'm with NALU Studies, and NALU is an acronym for Nature Activities for Learning and Understanding. We work with middle school and high school students focused on kids coming from challenging situations, so at risk, and we worked with Olamana School, we worked with HYCF, a lot of different schools, but also kids who are just struggling in school with science. Derek and I work together in a number of different aspects. He's the teacher of my program, and I help him with his program, and but we focus on, again, the Ahupua'a as a classroom, but the kids actually working with scientists in the field. So it's all hands-on education, hands-on learning.
Excellent, excellent. And
I do need to say that both Manning and I's our programs are sponsored by the Pacific American Foundation, and so we are actually part of them, and they are a nonprofit that's dedicated to improving the lives of Pacific Islanders all around.
Excellent, and that's one of the commonalities we have. We're all working here in the Pacific Islands. Yeah. My own Water for Life work really takes place more in Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, and Palau than here in Hawaii, but again has watersheds lying at the heart of it. Really, how do communities get the water they need? Because most of the communities that I work with are not blessed as we are with having great municipal water systems where you can just reach up, turn on a tap, and know that your water is good. Many of the places I work, they rely on rainwater catchment to get water, or ground springs. And so we are using the idea of water as a very meaningful way to get people involved in learning about science, STEM, designing rainwater catchment systems, improving the rainwater catchment systems, monitoring the water quality, that kind of thing.
I know from on our program, and I think it's just one commonality with all of us is, and unique to Hawaii, is that we really focus on not just the science of what we do, and say water and water management, but also the cultural component. We look at, so one of the key elements of NALU, and it makes it so effective, is that it's not just about the student as a citizen scientist, but also their role as understanding the culture that they're a part of, and valuing that culture. And I think through that, we've been able to actually make a huge impact on the kids as they see their environment as a living entity that they're a part of, and not just something that they go out and use, but it's actually a part of themselves. So that's really important, I think, and that actually probably is a common thread for all of us.
Mm-hmm. So, Brennan, do you want to jump on that one?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we really focus on doing is helping teachers help their kids create stories of place. And I think in Oahu, but especially on some of the outer islands, we have kids who probably really don't understand the context within which they live, the world within which they live. And they don't exhibit a lot of pride with a lot of their surroundings. So what we've spent a lot of time doing is trying to provide access to technology that will help them tell their story to the rest of the world. And one of the great experiences that we've had among the many is this, if we recall recently, the volcano in Pahoa that was going to cut the town in half. And these kids were being separated from their family, from their school, and half of the Pahoa high school kids had to go to crosstown rival Keao High School. And it became a real issue that they were worried about, that they were going to fight, that they were, that they were going to have these clashes between crosstown rivals. But what technology was able to do was to bridge the gap. And as these 300 or 400 kids came in, these Keao High School kids were using iPads and drones and 360-degree cameras to create virtual maps for the new kids, so that the new kids would feel at home and they could share the information with their parents and their community on the other side of the lava flow, right? So I think it's interesting that we see opportunity where a lot of the kids and the teachers don't, and I think it's great that Ted was able to bring us together once again to try and see where we can overlap and maybe how we can help each other out in accomplishing our same goals. Yeah.
Super, excellent.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's a nice example of how the technology can really play on in, and also how culture on a lot of different levels. You were talking about school-to-school culture. We deal with oftentimes island cultures with different languages, but there is, in a lot of places, there are whole issues of cultures not valuing themselves. Cultures have been, in places that have been colonized, the traditional cultures have been devalued, and now we are trying to help people rediscover their value, revitalize things, recreate a dynamic culture.
And one of the things I really appreciate and am quite fond of in the Hawaiian culture is place names, and how important that place name is, and how deeply rooted in traditional ecological knowledge the name is. And so when we get kids out of the four walls of the classroom and into the ahupua'a as a classroom, bringing up the name of place brings in a whole onslaught of lessons that are not just STEM applicable, but tie into their culture studies, that tie into their language arts studies, and bring about an artistic expression that is so necessary when we look at STEM. So frequently we don't necessarily bring in that art, which is very much necessary, and more of a fan of STEAM over STEM.
STEAM smart. I mean, there's a lot of. What's interesting is that a lot of our native Hawaiian kids don't understand that at one point in world history they were the leaders of STEM.
Right.
Right. I mean, 500 years before Columbus came, we had the Polynesian voyagers moving across the Pacific. And reinvigorating that pride with them is a really important part of our job. And not only that, but allowing them to share that pride through modern technology, right? And I think the Worldwide Voyage has been an excellent example of how modern technology and old can come together to connect the globe, but also help our kids share their stories.
Right.
I think that's a real critical overlap, because one of the things I think I'm finding when our kids that come from situations, I work with kids from socioeconomic depressed situations, and kids, like I said, kids from challenging situations. A lot of them don't have access to a lot of the technology. They come in, I mean, they've lost themselves and their knowledge of their ancestry and their culture. And they don't have a lot of them don't have a real working knowledge of the technology. So, I mean, that's something right there that we can actually come together on. One thing I do really appreciate, and Derek's seen this as part of our knowledge program, when our kids actually go to different sites to actually gather data, or to meet with Kapuna, or to go with the scientists into a certain location, they must only in.
Yes.
Right.
And so it's we don't just walk in. It's respect for the place, respect for the culture, and we ask permission, and then we go in. And we're there to support and not to tell people what to do. We're there to gather information to help make responsible decisions.
Partnership.
Exactly.
And that's a traditional view of our existence on our land. It is a
Yes.
partnership with our Aina.
Right.
And bringing that up to the kids is so important, and reaching that out to the greater community. So it's not just the children, and the Haumana exist in as adults as well as children. And so the more community events we can put together that are focused around these student-driven outreach programs really lifts everybody up. And that's one of the beautiful things about the PACES program also, which is the Pacific Center for Environmental Science.
Yeah.
And how PACES, Nalu Studies, and Wired have very much integrated themselves with each other, so that a bunch of the communities on the windward side have a not just systematic look at the ahupua'a in how we approach exploring it, but also in how we deal with it as a community.
Right. It's not just the schools and the kids. It's the insurance agents, the scientists, the researchers, but also the man on the street, the banker, the whoever.
Definitely.
Everyone has a role.
It's a collaborative role, and that every single member of that community is vested in that. And how do we build that investment? And how do we get people to say, yeah, you know what, that's absolutely right.
Okay. Ted, you have something you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was. We'll try here as long as the cell phone is lasting here. I think there's another component that's really interesting here. There's a guy not at this table named Ian Masterson out in Hakipu'u.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ian, I'll call you Masterson. He's wonderful.
Okay, and he's beginning to discover some of the what might be called myth, but is in fact instruction manuals for how to care for the earth. And the thinking and the methods by which the minds in the past, absent of Western science, managed very successfully their own quality of life. And that tie between that way of thinking and translating that into modern scientific methods, or taking the scientific methods and expressing them in the form of the past, is a superb aspect of the cultural connection that I think is often missing in a lot of the ways we approach these things. So I think that the design of the future that Brendan's taking care of through the education architecture, and the work you guys are doing in the field, hands in the Lo'i, for example, and in the ocean, is able to cause these past views to be expressed in a way we can understand better today. And that's all got to be good for understanding how populations develop, how culturals maintain the continuity, and increase self-esteem all the way around.
Absolutely, Ted. You're very, very good point. I'm told, however, we're going to have to take a brief break here in our conversation, but we'll be right back, and you'll come back and join us on the road, or where the road leads.
Aloha, my name is Jim Shawn, and I'm host of a show called Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. Each week, live streaming at noon on ThinkTech Hawaii, we interview people who have special insights into education, from early education through K-12, all the way through higher education and beyond. Both public and private are areas we're interested in. We dig deeper. We try to find out what it's really like to be involved in making change, advocating for it, how you reform, what people's philosophies are in reforming it. As I said, we're live streaming every Wednesday at noon on ThinkTech Hawaii. And later on, you can find these interviews on YouTube and on the Hawaii Educational Policy Center website. We hope you join us as many times as possible. Aloha.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. That's Ted Ralston. You know, Ted is the host of Where the Road Leads. It shows every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. It's about technology. It's about how people collaborate and solve problems with modern technology. It's where the road leads. We all know that. We should all be listening. Join us there, 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday. Now, what about that do you agree with?
All of it.
I knew he'd say that. Aloha. Say aloha.
Aloha.
Good.
And you're back on Where the Road Leads with Ted Ralston. And Ted is on the road actually right now in Arizona. He's with us via Skype, although we're having some technical challenges and not hearing him really clearly always. But we're here in the ThinkTech studio with Manning Tate, Derek Esibil, and Brendan Brennan. And we're talking about these various STEM science learning programs, place-based and culturally contextualized learning that happens. And you were talking about place names and how important they are. I'm struck always in Hawaiian at the number of place names that have Y, that is water, either at the beginning or in them somewhere.
Absolutely, and the word for wealth is vai.
Right, exactly.
And so it's just that water connects all of us. I mean, that's what we're looking on Mars for, to see if there's life, is water.
It speaks to the importance of water in the Hawaiian culture. One of the presenters at a conference, I was just at a water resources sustainability conference, was showing a satellite photo of Mauna Kea, I believe, has been at various times in the past terraced by the Hawaiians, who understood like they needed to save basically every drop of water that was falling on it, and therefore they terraced good sections of the slopes of it, which have since sort of disappeared, but you can, by doing appropriate high-tech photography, you can actually see that the land was actually sculpted out. Critical nature of water and water drainage.
You know, it's interesting about water is that the Hokulea was just in South Africa. Mm-hmm. And through technology and this great communication technology and video conferencing, which Ted is not enjoying right now, we were able to connect 3 schools from Hawaii, a school from Aotearoa, to an archaeologist in South Africa live. And he took us on a tour, I believe it was called the Mosmer Bay Caves, where the first human beings evolved because it was closest to water. Right. And they used the sediment to measure how far back they went, and they realized that these human beings had settled there 50,000 years prior to the previously farthest back. Mm-hmm. And it was great to have these kids being able to interact and understand how important the water has been for human evolution, not only there, but also here in Hawaii. It was an amazing experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that's one thing that I find really fascinating about programs like Wired and PACES too, is that we really see, the kids really understanding the value of our resources. Mm-hmm. And I know over the last few years it's becoming more important in terms of sustainability and things like that. But it's not just sustainability of the resources, but sustainability of us and how we see the world. And the young people today, what I'm seeing, like one of our students last year that Derek and I worked with, he was over by Sand Island, access of Kua is his name. And this older homeless woman was like, you should see this place. It's filthy. It's, the water's disgusting here, and no one's doing anything about it. And so it got Kua thinking, like, how do I actually help, understand the water to help my community? And so in a nutshell, he actually looked at bioluminescent bacteria as an indication of water quality. And actually, thank you to Greg Stewart at Seymour for helping Kua, but he actually took bacteria from squid ink, and it's bioluminescent, and grew it up. And his idea was that if we have a lot of pollution in the water, bacteria will proliferate, and the light will glow, will have a higher bioluminescence. And if the water is not polluted, it's very clean, this will die down. So they ran this project through with Dr. Stewart's help, and not only did he win district science fair, and he actually won the state. Now, he looked around his own backyard. I think this is the point, is it's where he looked in, he's from Mamanala, he looked at his own backyard, what's going on in my location? How can I support my community? And how can I create a tool that will support not only my community, but the island and the state as well, right? So we got connected with the Stockholm Water Quality Program, and they said, if you win the state, you'll go on, we'll put you to national, take you to national. And I told Kua, it's not about winning, it's about helping your community understand the value of this resource. Well, he won. And so they went off to DC, and they flew us to DC, and he presented he actually gave a presentation, a national presentation, national conference, and did a fantastic job. But what I think everyone came away with is that, as far as the projects in the room, was he was a kid, and he was from Olamana. Like I say, he was due to not graduate. But what he walked away with is a passion, right, for this resource and its value. And he shared that passion not only with his local community, but nationally. And I think that's where I see Wired and the research that Derek's project's doing in understanding Kawainui Marsh, and the work that Dr. Krupp and Paces is doing in understanding the Windward area and the island itself in terms of water and water resources management from the young people's perspective. Because ultimately, they're going to make decisions for us, right?
Right.
So
that's a beautiful story, and it speaks to what education is really all about, right? You take a kid who was, as you said, sort of destined to fail, and instead he's becoming an educational
he
leader.
became very passionate about
he's
making a
not
difference.
only learned to learn himself, but learned to inspire others to learn, which is
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's what we want.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and to inspire himself to move on further.
right. Yeah.
But how do we get 1,000 Kuas? How do we
I
get
have the
10,000
answer to
Kuas?
that.
That's what we want. We want
You know what the
10,000
answer is?
Kuas. Well,
No,
we're-
we get, I understand the value of the box that we're in and the teacher in front talking to us, I get that.
Sure.
But at a certain point, we have to take them outside.
Yes.
What was it called? No, I think of my friend.
Child Left
Wolf
Inside.
Child, yeah, told me a long time ago, no child left inside.
Yep.
Because we're stuck in this box. I mean, once we get kids in the ocean, because Derek and I take them in the ocean
Well,
on the coral reef.
And well, the challenges that K-12 public educators have for that are immense.
Definitely, yeah.
And I mean, it's not just financial, but it's logistical as well.
It's legal.
And so that's
I
one of the
understand.
beautiful things that the Pacific American Foundation is been instrumental in being able to do is provide substitutes for those teachers,
Yeah.
provide transportation to get
Which is
kids
huge.
around,
That's
which is
huge.
Yeah.
unbelievable. And also to have that infrastructure of liability backing to be able to try and get kids out. We also focus a lot on safety. And so with Nalu Studies, with PACES.
It's number one.
And with Wired, well, safety is absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
It is number
Sure.
one. And there's no way we can get kids outside and out of that box so that they can blow up their world or expand their horizons.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think we have this idea of education being safe, and that there's always a net there for the kid. And I think a lot of our work in Future Ready is trying to, make that net a little bit farther away from them, right? I think, one of the ways that our kids blossom is when we actually put them in an environment where it's safe to fail.
Yep.
Where there
Oh
is
my
risk.
God.
There's risk ingrained. in the
There has
project.
to be risk and there has to be failure.
right.
We learn from our failures, and we learn
Right.
not just about what went wrong and what we can change to do right, but we learn about resiliency within ourselves.
Right, right.
And that is so critical. And it's gone to such a road where nobody can fail, nobody can get anything wrong. It's got
Right,
They're
right.
afraid
Content
to fail.
standards,
And-
you're on the
one-
track. We don't learn how to ride a bike by having somebody tell us how to do it.
Right.
No,
Exactly.
Right, but we expect that we're going to learn everything else that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's absurd.
Yeah. Well, one thing about the PACES program, that, really quickly, is this last summer, I got out of my comfort zone. I'm a biologist, a biotechnologist by trade, right? And this summer we actually had, and Derek's engineering background and science, and this last summer we had a group of kids, and the PACES program takes kids from different schools, no two kids from the same school on the same team. So your team could be 4 kids, one from Nanakuli, one from Kuku, one from Iolani, one from, Kailua.
Sounds
our
great.
homes. And so, but they have to work together. These guys came with an idea. We want to actually look at building these artificial reef systems. And so, okay, how are you going to monitor the reef? Because we're going to build our own cameras. And Dr. Krupp over WCC goes, WCC, he said, okay, show me the plans, you build it, and if you can sell me on this, we're going to do it. And they built 7, using what they call them, Raspberry Pis, and they PVC housings, and they set these things up on the reef outside Coconut Island. And they gather real data. Now, I'll tell you right now, some of those cameras took in water, and when it came back, I'm like, oh man, we're not getting to the end of this. But they learn from their mistakes.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And they just rebuilt it, tweaked it, and they came back with their heads down. Like, don't have your heads down. You guys are, you guys built your own camera.
Fail forward, fail
Yes.
quickly, and
Yeah.
then learn from it.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
life. It's entrepreneurship.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's also
exactly.
part of the engineering
has
process
to
is design and redesign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason there's an Apple 6S right now.
Right, exactly.
Right? Or an iPhone 6S.
Right.
It's we're always improving our technology, and that technology can also be a stone ko'i and
Right.
ads. That's technology.
Right.
Exactly.
So
A pencil
Right.
was the cutting edge technology for Napoleon. It actually enabled him to conquer most of Europe because of the pencil. So we think about improving technology.
Right.
It doesn't have to be electronic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've just started a spin-off program from Water for Life in Majuro, where it's the concept of a makerspace. We call it a learner makerspace because all the projects are focused on food, energy, and water.
Okay.
And the kids are going to learn some basics of energy and water and food, nutrition. And all their projects will be somehow around those areas, but they may go to the local junkyard, rip the top off an old car, polish up the inside of that, and suddenly they've got a parabolic mirror.
Yeah.
They can concentrate the sun and cook food or dehydrate fish, build some food security. And maybe they're going to build better solar stills.
Yeah.
These kind of things. And again, it's not necessarily high-tech computer 3D printing, but it's useful, it's community-oriented, and yes, the kids, their first attempts probably aren't going to work real well. We know that. They'll learn that, and that's great.
Well,
Okay.
I think solving a problem, I think that's what it is.
Well, speaking of problems to solve, we have a break coming up here, so we're going to have to solve that problem.
Hi, my name's Hillary Weinberg. I'm the host of The Whole Gamut on ThinkTech Hawaii. See us live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. or on our YouTube channel to hear us talk about world affairs from Hawaii and beyond. See you then.
Sung, you got some great programs coming up in the engineering school. Tell us about them.
So there's 2 robot tournaments that's coming up. There is one called the First Lego League this Saturday, December 5th at the Blaisdell Arena. If you're interested, just show up and go take a look. There's another one called the VEX State Competition on December 12th at Pearl City High School. And if you want to be a judge or volunteer for that one, please let me know, and I can get you to come and enjoy it in more of a different view than what you would just see as an observer.
The way to the future is robotics and engineering in the College of Engineering. And Sung Choi, thank you so much, Sung.
Thank you very much.
And you're back where the road leads. I'm Ethan Allen. I'm sort of helping Ted Ralston out. Ted's with us, I think, still on Skype, though I'm not sure. We've been having some technical trouble with him. But here in the studio, we have Manning Tate, Derek Esibil, and Brennan. And we're all kicking around interesting ideas about learning STEM, learning place-based learning, contextualized learning, the empowerment that goes with learning and failing and learning from your failures. And
Can I jump off a comment you made earlier?
Sure.
And I think this is really important for what I think the 3 of us are about. And I think you talked about like young people addressing issues. And I really think what I love about a younger person looking at a problem is they're not stuck in a box of what they've already learned, right? I mean, I found some really, working with PACES, because it really is independent research focused, they're not looking at what's been done. Their project, they have to do a 4-week training, on equipment with researchers, and 2 weeks of their own research. It's independent research. They have to write a proposal, just like an NSF proposal, and they have to get the work done in 2 weeks and present it to the public, including, scientists. And the thing I love about the program is that every year I scratch my head going, where in the world did they get this from? Because then I got to scramble to figure out how do I support that project, right? Find someone like you to come in and do the math part of it. But what I love about it is that they're looking at real world issues and addressing them. And I think that's what Wired does, what PACES does, and that's what NALU does.
Water for Life does that.
Exactly, and that's what you guys are doing. So I think, empowering these young people to say, just because you come from a challenged situation or you haven't had that support doesn't mean because you see things differently doesn't mean that your opinion doesn't count and your ideas don't count. Sometimes the best ideas come from that area.
Agree. I mean, the problem is that at the very foundations of American educational system is that student agency is deliberately on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Originally, the educational system had 2 goals. Number 1 was to make sure that you were voting citizens that stayed out of jail.
Sure.
And number 2 was that you could get a job and pay taxes to fill potholes. And that was it, right? I mean, that's at the foundations of our system. Student agency wasn't there, empowerment wasn't there. I think what we're trying to do in our program is push towards this model of school as a public utility, where our students are out in the world solving local problems by corralling global resources and working with engineers from Mountain View, California, or some guy in Bangladesh who's figured out an irrigation problem, or somebody from Lanai who's dealing with, a water shortage or things like that.
And a critical part of learning to solve those problems is learning to work with other people from very different ideas, very different backgrounds, and to listen to them, to hear what they're saying, to spin off from that.
It is an interdependent world that we live in, and naturally we collaborate with each other. And that also has to be fostered, and that has to get, we still have to keep teaching that at every single level, pre-K through gray.
Yeah.
And
there's a program that I think just started up here in Hawaii. It's actually from Massachusetts, and the Shileys. It's Sustainable Hawaii Leadership Initiative. And so they were out here this last year, and they had actually one of our NALU kids and one of the PACES kids and a Capsule student. And they flew them up to Martha's Vineyard.
Correct.
And it was a global summit. So you had kids from all over the nation, but also different cultures from around the world, and Native Americans as well, looking at how are they managing water resources and resources in general. If we're looking at sustainability on a local level, with a global level, what are we going to be doing? And so, Derek, you're exactly right. I think if we don't start collaborating better and putting these pieces together, I mean, we're going to be struggling.
Right. But again, our K-12 system traditionally has had every kid working independently. You don't share your work. That's called cheating,
Yes.
Well, it's been stifled on purpose. I mean, we have bells to get them ready for the industrial complex, right? We have them in rows so that they'll listen.
But that's now an outdated model, right?
Well, because the teachers lost control. I think, it used to be that we as teachers were the gatekeepers of knowledge and information around the world. Now, students can look at their phone and learn it faster and better than any teacher can teach it. So now teachers are left powerless in the classroom, and they have to figure out what to do with this new breed of students. It's really kind of a barbarians at the gate situation where teachers are struggling to find ways and reaching out, right? So it's an exciting time for me because teachers are actually asking for ways on how to deal with this new breed.
But then the school systems themselves, the higher level administrators, are often a step behind.
They're so far behind that the kids are taking over the school, and we see it every single day. You have to feed these children, and they have new demands that we aren't built to support.
Wow.
Up until now, we have been preparing them for a world that we used to live in.
Right.
And we haven't even been doing a good job of that. So how do you prepare them for those jobs that don't exist, right? For the technology that hasn't been invented yet. And the thing is that you turn it over.
For the problems that have yet to arise.
Can't even fathom. We have to turn it over to the inmates, is what we have to do, and let them take over and decide what's best for them to create their new world, right?
Like the old movie King of Hearts.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And let's stop our schools from the model of a pipeline to prison.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we really need to look at having kids engaged in their communities, in these real world problems.
Well,
and
seeing them as leaders, and they actually can be community leaders.
they are leaders.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to watch kids when you take kids in a schoolroom certain kids may be sort of the dummies, you know, and the bottom of the class, and you put those kids in a different environment. And
They
oftentimes they become the leaders.
Yes.
Exactly.
They're the ones who aren't afraid to try new things.
I'll take a dummy who asks great questions over a smart kid who's quiet any day.
Right, yeah.
I really will, because that kid's has a thirst for knowledge and is a vessel ready to fill himself. The smart kid thinks he's already got it figured out.
Yep, bucket's full.
That's right.
Well, I think, getting back to, we talked about water, and, I think Hawaii is unique because we look at, I worked for NOAA for a few years, and we're looking at, an environmental literacy program, we're looking at Hawaii as a model. I mean, we're one of the most isolated places on the planet, right? If we can't do it here in terms of sustainability and water management, where are we going to do it?
Yep.
It can't be done.
And that's one thing that Ken Kaneshiro with his Hawaii Exemplary State Foundation
Exactly.
is really tapping into and really trying to bring Hawaii to the global forefront as a model for sustainability as it once was.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think with what all these projects are involved in, I mean, we talked about PACES, talked about NALU and WIRED. I mean, the real focus is really empowering kids as the next generation to be the leaders who'll make responsible decisions for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm old, and I'm just getting older, so I'm hoping that we've done it. If we've done our job well, hopefully, things will get better. But I mean, we give the kids in our program get high school credit, college credit. PACES gives them college credit. I think PACES even pays them $1,000 to be in the program.
Yeah.
And the kids that are mentors get $3,000. So it's like, we're really giving them this opportunity to step up and take what you've put into a book, understand it, and share it with the community.
Yeah, we are. It is nice. We are seeing some of that breaking down those barriers. David Lassner yesterday at the ThinkTech holiday party was talking about, I guess we're going to have the first kid graduate from high school here who will also essentially have an AA degree, that will have completed the first 2 years of college.
That is fantastic.
Every high school course they've taken has been given them college credit.
Where was that when I was
basically.
going to school?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, college diploma is the new high school diploma.
I know.
Yeah. Well, and college is being reinvented as well.
Right.
I mean, it is a truly very changing world, and it's not only changing in that educational environment, but also with the advent of, and especially in microbiology, with technologies to go ahead and do rapid sequencing of genomes. It has created a paradigm shift on par with the advent of the microscope. And so everything is changing, and we as a society and as educational institutions need to change with that. Otherwise, we're doing a disservice to our kids, and we're just holding them back. And that's not hold them back. Let them go.
Well, my background is evolutionary genetics, and when I look at what's happened now with sequencing and DNA sequencing, I mean, we almost have to toss a lot of our books out the door.
Oh, they're gone.
Right.
The first step in any 12-step program is to admit that you've lost control. I mean, that's what I tell all the teachers.
How many grades are there?
Yeah, right.
I know, Lord of the Fly.
You were just mentioning the microscopes. Have you guys know the fold scopes? Have you guys run into these? The 50-cent microscope? It's a 1,000-power microscope that any kid can carry in their pocket. It costs about 50 cents to make.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, one of my earlier guests on Likeable Science was a guy who's developed this, a guy at Stanford. Beautiful, wonderful
Excellent.
device.
Okay, where do we get
them?
them? I'm a customer right now.
Google fold scopes.
Okay.
And yeah, it's.
No, and I think the other thing we want to mention too is that, I mean, these programs like with what Brennan's doing, I mean, thank you for what you're doing, not just in the classroom, but with the teachers. And I mean, Derek was a teacher at Kalua, I was a teacher at Kamehameha and Pono and Marino. And to me, I mean, we wouldn't be anywhere where we are today if it wasn't for what you guys are doing in terms of pushing forward with CRDG and
I mean, it's
and Pro too.
It's a slog, but I think we've finally entered into a vacuum where people are ready to ask for help, whether it's the technology or the Common Core or the new standards or whatever it is. People are asking for help, and the students are pushing the teachers to go find it. We're fortunate to be in the position we are because we're vested as teachers, number one. I'm a parent, I'm a member of this community. So we're really happy to engage in this work because we just kind of set the foundations, the backbone of that collaborative, communicative, inquiry-based, student-centered classroom. We're hoping that programs like yours can take off so that we have more than one KUA. We do want 1,000 KUAs ready to go.
Well, I do.
We want every student.
We want them all.
That
But
way.
you know what I am very appreciative is it's like, like CALSA Foundation, Amidiar, all these folks, I mean, they see the value in what we're doing, and they've supported us, over 12 years in some cases. And so you're right, in order to get a lot of coolers, it's gonna take not just the community, it's gonna take everybody working together,
Right.
and not just the scientists and the educators, but the funders and supporters,
Yeah, this is getting to this increasing recognition of what we call collective impact.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was
Yeah.
going. Yep,
But there's multiple
exactly.
parties, and as long as we all can sort of keep a clear focus, we're all going to the same goal. You
Yeah.
play this piece, I support this piece, so and so supports the other piece.
We fill in
we
each
can
other's
do-
pucas, and we
Yeah,
can
exactly. We
actually.
can actually get some progress
that
on
could
these
be an
big
exemplary
examples.
it could be
state.
massive impact.
Yeah, it's the way we've got to go. It's the way we've got to go.
And our philosophy at Pacific American Foundation is the more contact we have with a student through all of our programs,
Yeah.
the better we can shape and guide that student. And not really, I don't want to say shape them, they shape themselves, but we give them the tools to shape themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely, absolutely. Hey guys, this has been an amazing show. I've enjoyed our dialogue tremendously. And I want to thank each of you for being here and being part of this. And I hope this is but the first of many good conversations.
I hope so too. And I want to say thank you to Ted. I mean, for
Absolutely. Thanks, Ted.
We lost.
bringing us
Ted.
He
together.
always does this.
He gets people together
And then he just takes off. He takes off.
No, but Ted, thank you for putting this together. I mean,
Absolutely.
He's quite a visionary, and
And-
I don't know how he does what he does, but he makes it all happen.
And
So
what
thank
Ted
you.
would say is, thanks, Jay, for having ThinkTech
Yes,
here
no,
as a
thank you,
vehicle
Jay.
that
Yeah, Jay,
puts
thanks.
all together.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and I hope we'll see you again soon.
Definitely.
Aloha.
Aloha.